My name is Holly Guran. I'm the Professional Standards Manager with CPHR Saskatchewan, and we've got Nicole Norton-Scott, our CEO and Registrar, and Leanne Polishin, Marketing and Events Manager, with us today. And they both just popped in to do a quick wave, so you know everybody who, well, not quite everybody who works for CPHR Saskatchewan. Emin Preet is another one of our colleagues, and she is just on vacation at the moment, so we're wishing her well. So this webinar will be recorded and sent out to you. It will also be on our CPD page on the website. This is what our time is going to look like. Today we're going to talk about CPD requirements. Where do I find the information? How does that rolling 3-year period work? The mandatory ethics requirement. Go over our CPHR website so you know where you can find certain information. The online reporting system, kind of tips and tricks, and then any questions you may have. And you can put those in the chat box and Leanne will be monitoring those for us. I can't get into specific individual circumstances. So if you have something that's more specific, please just email me. Otherwise, if it's general, put it in the chat box and we'll answer near the end. So CPD requirements. What do I need to know? So on an annual basis, you need a minimum of 10 CPD hours, and that's from January 1st to December 31st. Every 3-year rolling period, you need a minimum of 60 CPD hours with 2 categories, and you need to take the mandatory ethics training. We always say minimum. It's always better to have more in case you're audited. And you don't receive credit for something that you thought you may have, then you've got extra CPD hours to fall back on. We also recommend getting a minimum of 20 per year if you can, because then it's just easier. Each year, you know, you just need that minimum of 20 instead of trying to remember, I did 10 this year, I did 15 the next year, and then in your last year, you need to get a lot more hours in. The deadline to enter your CPD hours is January 15th. So for this year, January 15th of 2023 for your 2022 hours. But it is recommended that you have all your hours entered by December 31st. It's just easier for you than trying to remember what you did in 2022 when it's already 2023. But totally your call. You have until January 15th. If you don't submit them by January 15th, there will be a late fee of $50, and then you've got 15 days to submit your hours. There is an audit, and I'll go over that in more detail in a couple more slides. For those brand new CPHRs, and those are CPHRs who pass the VOE process with CPHR Saskatchewan, you aren't required to enter your hours until the following year. So if you got your designation in 2022 with us, you're not required to start entering and doing CPD until January 1st, 2023. CPHRs that have come from other CPHR associations, SHRM or HRPA, the HR Association in Ontario. If you moved here in 2022, then you are required to do CPD with us in the year that you moved. That 3-year rolling calendar. If anybody has a better way to explain this, please let me know. It's confusing even for me. So for those CPHRs that had their designation prior to 2019, when the CPD requirements changed, you already experienced your first 3-year rolling period. So it was 2019, 2020, 2021. You are now in your second 3-year rolling period. And those who got the designation in 2019, you started in 2020 with doing CPD. So you're also in your 3rd year of your rolling period. And so by December 31st of 2022, you need to have your 60 CPD hours, your 2 categories, and your ethics. And it's always rolling. You always need to know where you're going to be at the end of the 3-year period. So 2022 ends, and then it goes into your next 3-year rolling period, so it ends 2023. So always be aware where you're at in that 3-year period. So the oldest year is discarded and the new year is added on. During that 3-year rolling period, you need your 2 categories. And on the website, when we get to that part, I will show you where you can look at the summary of qualifying activities, and you can see where the categories are listed with the subcategories. So the categories are professional practice, leadership, governance, learning, research, and publication. For those of you who were on leaves of absence and granted exemption hours, that is not a category. You are still required during your 3-year rolling period to have 2 of the categories, from professional practice all the way through to research and publication. In the last year and a bit, we rolled out the mandatory ethics training. That's required once each 3-year rolling period. There's certain ways to enter it into the online reporting system, and I'll show you how to do that. And if, as an example, you took your course October 17th, 2021, during your 3-year rolling period, January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022, you've met that requirement. In the next 3-year rolling period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2023, again, October 17th, 2021, you took the course, you have met that requirement because you've taken it during that 3-year period. Come January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2024, you are going to have to take that ethics course again by December 31st, 2024. So again, it only needs to be taken once during any 3-year rolling period. If you are struggling for CPD hours, you can take it on an annual basis and get 3 hours for CPD. And you can take any ethics course. It must be a minimum of 3 hours. CPHR Canada offers one, and I'll show you where you can find that on our website. And the one with CPHR Canada is free. And once a year, we do an audit. So 3% of CPD submissions are audited annually. People are randomly selected. You may not feel it so random when you're the chosen one. You're notified by March 1st of that year if you need to provide documentation, and you have 3 to 4 weeks to submit your documentation with guidelines as to what's required. It's recommended to keep your documentation for 18 months after the year end. So for this year, ending December 31st, 2022, retain your documentation until June 30th, 2024. So I'm going to turn my camera off in a second here. I'm going to go over to the CPHR Saskatchewan website and explain some things there, and then over to the online reporting system. And I'm going to be turned to a different screen most of that time. So I'm just going to shut that off. So you want to go to cphrsk.ca. Make sure you're signed in. So I'm currently signed in now. And some things to become familiar with. If you go to Manage Profile and you want to know what events have I gone to in the past where you registered through CPHR Saskatchewan, you can scroll through and see what you've attended. So this may be helpful for you when you're entering your CPD. If you forgot where your invoice was, that was maybe sent to you, you can click here. And if there's any outstanding invoices, you can find them here. If you want to look at your membership, you can click on membership. If you need to update your bio, you can go through Edit Bio. The other area that's helpful is My Profile. If you are wanting to register for PD on demand, and I will show you where that is in a bit, you're going to require your member ID.
Holly,
and you could, yes?
do you want to share the website? We're still seeing your
sorry.
PowerPoint here. All good.
There, can you see that now, Leanne?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. I was walking you through all of that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Manage Profile so you can see what that looks like. Event registrations is here. That will list what you've attended. Invoices can be found here. And if you have anything outstanding, they will be listed there. You can edit your bio here. You can also go to My Profile. And this is where you would find your member ID, which you need for PD on demand. If you are registering for the ethics course, you will need your CPHR number, which can be found further down on the screen, right here. And just a quick walkthrough of the website. You can go to Who We Are and learn about us, our board of directors, the various committees, our team, the AGM, and bylaws. If you need some membership information, I am a member. If you need to renew, do a member search, etc. You'll be spending most of your time under CPHR. I am a CPHR, and that's where you find your continuing professional development. If you are moving to another CPHR association, you would go to CPHR resignation, and there's a form there. If you're requesting a leave of absence, if you want to know more about the Code of Professional Conduct, look at the competency framework, need to change your name, you can find that all under here. Learn and Connect is another area where you could spend a lot of time going to the learning calendar. And it'll list our different events that we have on the go. Professional development. So that's where you can find the PD on demand, where it'll ask you for your member ID. There's webinars with the National Payroll Institute, Employment Standards, WorkSafe Saskatchewan. You can go to the member roundtable, mentorship program, find out some information, submit a speaker proposal, student initiatives, and if you're offering courses, how to become approved for CPD hours. There's other resources, your HR toolkit, trends, report and surveys, the magazine, professional awards, news articles, and video podcasts. So you could come here if you need hours for under the summary of qualifying activities. If you want to advertise with us, our job board, if you're looking for other positions, directory, protecting the public, and then the store. So I'm going to go back to CPHR. I am a CPHR, continuing professional development, and click on that. So here you'll see what the CPD requirements are, the summary of qualifying activities. I'm not going to go through them all, but I'll give you a few tips on them. For leadership, if you are developing a new course, workshop, or seminar for the first time, and you are also the one that's teaching it or facilitating it for the first time, you can get hours under both of those. So it's only based on the instructional hours. So if it's a 1 hour webinar, and you developed it, you can get 1 hour for developing it. If you also facilitated it, you can get 1 hour for facilitating it. Under self-directed learning, you can get a maximum of 5 CPD hours per year by reading HR, leadership, business, books, magazines, articles, listening to podcasts. So that's 15 CPD hours over your 3-year rolling period that you can get. That's not difficult. And if you're audited, you don't have to show documentation for that area. And there's a CPD FAQ, mandatory ethics training, which I'm going to go into. So you can go through and read about the course and how to register. So again, the one from CPHR Canada is free. It's going to ask you for your CPHR Canada number. So I showed you how to get that on the website, or you can click here and there's instructions on how you can find that information. And you're going to require your email address. Now that's going to be the email address that was originally uploaded when the ethics course was rolled out. So if you changed your email address and didn't notify us, please do so, because we'll have to re-upload that into the system, because otherwise it won't accept your email address. The system can be a little finicky when entering your information. Make sure there's no spaces before your email address or CPHR number. If you've got lowercase letters for your email address, you may need to change the first one to a capital. Sometimes you need to try and outsmart the system. If you're still having difficulties, please contact info@cphrsk.ca. To register for the course, you would just click on here and it'll take you over to the registration page where you enter your email, your CPHR number, and then pick Saskatchewan. And there's an online reporting system FAQ. The webinar, so this webinar will be uploaded. The one on there that's currently on there is from last year. And then we'll come back to the CPD reporting system in a second. There's some helpful documents and tutorials. There's the competency framework if you want to review that. There's a document for the professional practice category. That requires a fair bit of information entered in the system, and sometimes it'll time out on you, and we haven't figured out a workaround on that, so we suggest you putting it in Word first. And this is all the information that you need, and then copying and pasting it into the system, just so you don't get frustrated if you're looking for your information and it times out and then you've lost everything, because it only saves once it's been uploaded. And then if you've taken any courses that have already been pre-approved by CPHR Saskatchewan, they will be listed on here. You will still need to know the dates and the times. And then there's a tutorial on how to check for CPD hours, which I'll also go over with you. So I've already got the online reporting system open, but normally you would just click here. And it's going to take you to your dashboard. So from the left, overall progress, it's showing me here that this is the 3-year period that I'm currently in, and that's ending December 31st, 2022. So I can see at a glance that I've met the minimum of 60 with 144.25 hours. I've got my 2 categories. So I am good there. If you want to look at a glance on an annual basis, so my 2022 hours, it's showing 36.5. I can also click here and pick which year. So it's only within that 3-year period though. So my hours from 2019 aren't viewable here. Under our input history, it will only show you your last 4 entries. But if you want to see them all, you would click View Full History. It may just take a little bit to open. And watch the dates that you're looking for. So right now it says January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022. I've taken the ethics course twice, so it's showing up at the bottom there so you can see at a glance. Showing my total hours over the 3-year period so far, and it's showing 2 categories. If I want to expand all, I can do that, and it's going to open up the system and show me everything that I've entered during that 3-year period. I can collapse it. If I just want to go in a specific area, I can do that. I go under new projects. I entered a test yesterday. If you realize you need to enter more information, you can click on the I for edit and then go to edit. Update your information. Click on update. And you can see entry was updated. If I want to delete that entry, I'll just go to the X. Am I sure? Okay. And then it'll delete and no longer show up in there. To change the hours, change the year. This one's a little bit finicky. So change it to 2022. You have to click on the day. So click January 1st. Make sure you click on submit. And then it'll change it up here so you know. If you go to enter your hours in 2023 up until January 15th for 2022, it's already going to show an end date of 2023 in here. So remember to change it to 2022 because you may be looking for your hours and in 2022 and they're not showing up because it's got a 2023 date in there. So just remember to update that. If you want to print your report, you can by clicking on print. Send it to whatever printer. If you want to save your report, which I recommend doing, you can save it as a PDF. Click save, and then wherever you want to save it to. Now I'm going to go to the menu, which is the 3 lines. And this is what the menu looks like. So it's got your dashboard, a link for the CPD requirements. If you want to view the functional competencies, get more information on the leave of absence, declaration, we'll come back to that. And then there's some help videos in there. You can enter your hours from here, or you can also go to the dashboard and click on enter hours from here. You can also access the declaration from here. So we're going to do enter hours. The majority of us get our hours under learning. And I'm going to go to seminars. I'm going to show you the ethics training autofill. So when you complete the ethics course, you'll get an email from them. Save that for your documentation. When you're entering your CPD, you will come here, click on the ethics training autofill. You just need to pick the dates that you attended it. It has 3 hours here, but you'll have to enter 3 hours under hours claimed. If you don't enter all the categories, you're going to get a message. So I'm going to enter 3. Submit and create another. It shows that the hours were logged there. Now, if I go back, I'm just going to pick that one again. Yesterday and today, enter 3. And then you can also click submit and return to the dashboard. And it shows you under our input history that 2 entries were made. So you can go in and view it if you like. And it shows up. And I'm just going to click delete this entry. And it shows entry deleted. Under declaration, when you have entered all your hours for the year, go to declaration and you'll mark off these boxes and click submit. If you realize that you forgot to enter some hours, you can still go back and enter your hours for that year, even if you've completed the declaration. We can't go and undeclare it for you, so it's still fine. And this is just a reminder about the audit and what's required there. So I'm just going to go back to the dashboard. Your full history. Because I think a lot of you will be looking at the report and checking that out. So here's that other ethics course that I entered showing up down there. I'm just going to delete that one since I don't need it. I'm just looking at my notes. Oh, I often get questions at the end of the year saying, well, I didn't get an email saying that I submitted all my hours. Or where is the final submit button? There isn't a final submit button. You won't get an email from us saying that all your hours have been submitted. We get the report that just shows us what your hours are, so we kind of see what you see. If you're having issues with the system, I don't actually see what your dashboard looks like. I may ask you for a screenshot, or I may ask you to send me a report of what you entered and that if there were any issues with that. And that kind of summarizes the online reporting system. Just going to go back to my other screen.
Hi, Holly.
So,
Holly.
yeah.
It's Nicole. Can I just interrupt? We just had a question, and I just noticed that the question came in. It may have been a while ago. So this is the ethics training. So I think when you were talking about the ethics, did that answer your question? I can't see who the first, for the full name is. Is it Jill? So Jill, you asked if this is the ethics training. Sorry, I just didn't see the question right away, but yes, Holly went through the mandatory ethics. I think, did she answer your question, Jill? Okay.
I just unmuted. I just typed, yeah. It felt like she was referring to like the ethics training, and I wasn't sure if I was in the right spot, but yes, somebody had answered that. So thank you.
Okay, good. So in general, if you've got questions regarding CPD, leave of absence, the online reporting system, you can email me at hguran@cphrsk.ca. If you've got questions regarding membership, invoices, registering for events, having issues with the ethics course, you can email info@cphrsk.ca. Whoops, thought I had a question. Slide in there, apparently not. Are there any other questions? Leanne, anything in that chat box?
There is nothing else.
There's nothing?
No.
Okay.
No, I had a direct one to me just in regards to the information required for audit. And again, I think perhaps Holly covered that. So for anybody, again, we'll just highlight that if you are audited, we need proof of the information that is required to be verifiable. So the reading, the books, the podcasts, that you don't need to, that's not verifiable hours, we kind of say. But if you attended, you know, the CPHR Saskatchewan forum, I mean, we would have that information. So that's not the greatest example. Let's see MLT Aikens labor law update. We would need to see that you registered and attended that event.
And if you're doing new projects, that one's actually a hard category to get hours in, but we may need outlines of what you did, documentation from your supervisor, highlighting your role in that, why it was new. If you're teaching or facilitating a course, something outlining what the course was and the duration, instructional hours, participating as a mentor or a mentee, then you would have a contract. We would need a copy of that. For board service, documentation on dates and times of meetings. Sometimes people will send the minutes just with the top as to who was in attendance. Let's see what else. Nicole touched on the seminars and workshops. For any university courses, you may need to contact the university and find out how many instructional hours. And it's instructional hours only, not study time, not exams. For any research and publication, let's say you've done a book review or an editorial or an article, we would need the article. You need to tell us where it was published and when and how many words it was. But if you're audited, we give you a list with all that documentation in it. So some questions that I get throughout the year are, if I get 60 CPD hours in 1 year, do I still need to submit hours in the second and third year? And the answer is yes. No matter where you are, you still need a minimum of 10 CPD hours in a year. Even if you have 60 in one, you still need that minimum for the other years. How will leave of absence be handled? We've got certain LOAs that are approved for exemption hours, and we need certain documentation for that. And then once approved, we enter that into the system. So again, Exemption hours and leaves doesn't count as a category during your 3-year rolling period. You still need a minimum of 2 categories. Can I enter my information into the online reporting system prior to December 31st? Oh, please do. It's actually better to do it right after you've taken the course or workshop or whatever it is you're working on. It's fresh in your mind, and it saves you time in the future if you do it right then and there. I've done it both ways. It's much easier to do it at the time. I'm entering my info for 2022 in January of 2023 before the deadline, but the date isn't changing. How do I change it? So again, let me just walk you through that. Because this comes up a lot. You're going to click on it. Make sure you've clicked on the first. Hit submit that way. That will be the same when you go to actually enter hours. Seminars and workshops. This will be just a general one. Make sure, because it's going to say 2023 once January rolls around, that it says 2022. So you'll just go in and change it, click on it, make sure the year, proper year is showing up there. Test. We're just going to pick one, submit and create another. So I got my designation in 2022. When do I enter CPD? So if you received your designation by going through the VOE process with CPHR Saskatchewan, you start entering CPD in 2023. So starting January 1st. If you already had your CPHR designation from another CPHR association and moved to Saskatchewan, or you were a SHRM member or HRPA, you would then submit CPD for the year that you moved here. So you moved in 2022, you enter your CPD for 2022. I can't log into the ethics course. So did you change your email address and maybe forget to notify us? Make sure there are no spaces before you start entering. If it starts with a lowercase letter, use an uppercase letter. If none of that works, then please contact us at info@cphrsk.ca. I realized I didn't enter all my hours for 2021. Can I go enter them now? And the answer is no, you cannot. The deadline has passed. So make sure you enter all of your hours in the year that they occur.
Holly, there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
For those of us not in our ruling period yet, VOE this year, does entering today's time count towards anything?
No, it doesn't count. This webinar doesn't count for any CPD. I'm sorry, I'm just reading the question again for those of us not in our rolling period yet. So if you're just doing the VOE this year and you've passed, then no, your CPD, any CPD that you've done doesn't count towards your designation. It won't start until 2023. Okay, and if that's all the questions, I thank you very much for attending. I hope you found this helpful. The webinar will be posted on our website in the next week or so. Leanne may know better about that. And again, email me if you have specific questions regarding your situation. Thank you.